try that hard. I ain't gonna show that card. People start to wonder if you live here now. And the boys in the corner are trying.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to On Deck. Yes, we got an episode 3, and we are back here with Will Thompson and Rhys White. Drew is unavailable today, and we've got a great interview for you guys. We got Xavier Neyens, one of the top prep bats in the country, on for an interview, talking some ball, talking some MLB jerseys, talking some Legos, too, with Rhys. And that was a whole bunch of fun, and we have an important announcement for you guys, too. Our podcast is now going to be coming out twice a week. So you'll catch us on Tuesdays and Fridays now, anywhere that you can find podcasts. Our YouTube premiere will continue at 8 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays and Fridays. And also, our uploaded podcast will be available the night before Tuesday and Friday, late at night. So you can listen to those on your morning commute to work. And so we're going to go straight into the interview with Xavier right here. Follow it up with some Will Thompson introductions, and we'll get right into it. And we are back and joined by a very, very special guest, Xavier Neyens, one of the top high schoolers in the country right now, joining On Deck. Has joined Prospects Live before on different podcasts, and we are so excited to have you, Xavier. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Better now, man. Rhys, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk with Xavier. He has a very interesting, there's one interesting stuff that I think we're going to talk about in this interview.
Yeah, this will be fun. So just to start things off, Xavier, catch me up with how your high school season's going. You're about to graduate, right? How's the high school season been? Are you in playoffs right now? Kind of what's going on with you?
Yeah, it's been going great. We just played our first playoff game on Saturday and we won. So now we're in the district semifinals. So that's going to be tomorrow night, and that's kind of a winner to state deal. So that's a big deal. And then hopefully next Saturday we'll be playing in the district championship. But yeah, the season's been going great. We're 19-3 right now, so we started to heat up here about halfway through the season. We're rolling, so we're ready to go.
That's awesome. And you guys were state runner-ups last year, I believe?
Yeah, we got second at state last year, yeah.
I actually knew the answer to that because my alma mater, West Seattle, did beat you guys. I feel like I have to throw that out there. I know, I don't want there to be any hard feelings between us, but I am a West Seattle guy. So kind of starting this whole thing off, last year, you've done the whole summer circuit this year, right? Kind of prep stuff and all that. You've been all around the country playing baseball in the last couple of years. How have you kind of improved your game in the last year since we last talked to you at Prospects Live? What have you been really working on, kind of preparing for these fun couple months ahead of you?
Yeah, just really simplifying the swing like quite a bit, just to be a little bit more efficient in my movements and stuff like that, and then also fielding, like getting my fielding done all the time because I'm trying to be a up the middle defender, shortstop, and then if that doesn't work, obviously, get bumped to third base, but try and stick at shortstop as long as I can. So definitely quite a bit of fielding and, simplifying the swing just a little bit.
Yeah. And are you still pitching?
I am. I'm closing, I closed our playoff game on Saturday, and I'll probably close tomorrow night. So I'm just closing a little bit here and there.
What's the pitch mix on the bump? You're running it up into the 90s, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I've been up to 95 this season. I sit in the low 90s, spin a little slider, and I got to change it. My changeup's actually getting pretty good, so I'm starting to throw that a lot more, but yeah, just fastball, slider, changeup.
You got a two-way talent here, Rhys.
Yeah, I know. Speaking about your hitting and everything and how that's been going, walk us through what you're thinking on the on-deck circle. What is your routine? And then after that, once you step into the batter's box, what are you thinking about between pitches? Are you a heavy, are you analyzing the pitcher, or are you just kind of keep it, what do they call it, keep it simple approach?
Yeah, on deck, I'm just trying to get my timing down, really, just kind of figure out what my start time is going to be against the guy, and also look at the guy ahead of me, what he's sequencing against him, because it might be similar sequencing sometimes. But then when I get into the box, just trying to be as simple as possible. Hunt a fastball, get a barrel on it, and then if I see spin up, go on that too. But just really hunt some fastballs when I get there and keep it as simple as possible.
Okay, and then same thing, when you're in between pitches and stuff, you just you step out of the batter's box, same sort of idea.
Yeah, unless they're attacking me kind of different, it's all right, step out and adjust or whatever. But yeah, just always ready for that heater.
So I want to bring up our notes. We kind of talked about this before the pod started, but my biggest note right here is you lifted in a barn during COVID, and in parentheses I wrote, weren't you like in middle school?
Yeah, that was seventh grade. I like started lifting weights in seventh grade. I got a barbell and all the plates and stuff. So that's when I kind of started lifting a little bit deadlift, squats and stuff like that. Nothing huge, but yeah, seventh grade during COVID once COVID hit.
Have you always kind of been one of the bigger guys for your age? Like, did you play up when you were younger and all that?
Yeah, so I played up pretty much every year when I was younger since I was about 10. So like I was always still like a bigger kid until I got to like 12, 13, and there's some bigger kids on the team, but I was still like a pretty decent sized kid. And then obviously like when I got to like 14, 15, I sprouted up to like 6'1", 6'2" ish around there. And then I've always kind of been the bigger kid on the team.
All right, in between, okay, so when you're not, working on, being in the barn and everything like that, I asked you if you had livestock before we recorded. You didn't. I was very disappointed. But when you're not working, fielding and like, lifting and stuff, what do you do? What do you do outside of the game? Do you have like, do you have any like hobbies outside of baseball that you want to talk to people about, or?
Yeah, I just like big like friends guy. Like love hanging out with my friends, going to baseball games or basketball games or whatever. Just hanging out with them as much as possible. And I'm like a big Lego builder. I get a bunch of Lego sets, so I have like a huge collection right now. But I'm still working on that. And then as of 3 weeks ago, I kind of got into guitar a little bit. So I've been kind of working on that, trying to learn some songs, something to play around the campfire.
So I'm a big Lego guy as well. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I don't want to move my setup. I have this like the Japanese Zen garden built. What's the most recent Lego set that you built?
Jabba's sail barge, the UCS one.
Oh, that was awesome.
I had
got
that, man. Yeah.
I got that one a couple months ago and I built it. It only took me 2 days. I grinded it out. But I just got another one. It's like the Jaws one with the boat and then the shark. I got that one last week, I think it was. So I'm gonna start building that pretty soon.
Nice. I think I'm working on a Technic set right now. I'm working on the green Shelby Mustangs. That's currently my Lego build right now.
I've never done a Technic set. I heard they're just horrible.
They are. I feel like you have to at least try it once. Like
Yeah.
maybe with your next set that you get, like try one. It is a different way of building. Like it's totally different, but it's been rewarding. Although I don't think I don't know how you are when you build Legos. I feel like we're going to go on a whole Lego tangent here, and I promise we're not going to do that. But are you someone who organizes your like? I have a separate box that I keep the Legos in when I open up the bag and everything like that. And then I always assume that Lego didn't send me the wrong piece. It's never my fault. Are you the same way when you build? Like when you can't find a piece, like is it your fault or is it Lego's fault?
It's Lego's fault, 100%. That happened to me like I don't know 2 years ago maybe. I couldn't find a piece. It was like the last piece in the set, like completed. I could not find it anywhere. I was convinced that they didn't throw it in the bag. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, but that's exactly. It's never our fault. It's always Legos.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we should just keep going on the Lego talk because I think we found something in common because I love Legos. And now it's like there's kind of more adult Legos out there. Like I got like Lego flowers and stuff now. So it's not as like it's accepted more, I feel like.
For sure.
I got a Lego Advent calendar.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. I got like a Star Wars Lego Advent calendar. I would definitely recommend it's at Costco.
I actually saw that. I wanted to get it, but it was a little too spendy for a little Advent calendar, so I let it be.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this summer you will have a little more money to buy like Death Stars and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're releasing one.
All right, Xavier, what drew you to committing to Oregon State?
Yeah, just overall, like the coaching staff at the time, right? Like Mitch, he's obviously signed through, I don't even know when it is, 2029 maybe, but him, Gibson, like Dorr, like all the entire coaching staff is really what drew me, and then also their winning culture, like. They've been the top team in the Northwest for, however many years, since 2005 when they first won their first national championship, right? So for that to be so close to home was like super, super important. And then you have the great people that go along with it, and it's a win-win.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is staying close to home, like, was that like a big decision in your commitment and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of kind of it's nice to have that program, right down the road. Right down the road isn't like a 5-hour drive, but or you could go to the East Coast or something, but then you got to take a plane and all that. But Oregon State being so close to home and being as prestigious as they are, it's a win-win.
So I noticed that you've kind of cited Austin Shenton as your hitting coach / you're super tight with him. Austin Shenton, for those who don't know, in the Mariners system right now, and Bellingham area local, Washington kid, went to junior college at the same place I went, Bellevue. Kind of talk to me about your relationship with Austin and kind of how much you guys work together and kind of what he's been to you throughout your baseball career.
Yeah, so we met when I was like 11 or 12, I think. We trained at the same place up in Bellingham inside pitch, and we just kicked it off. Like I hit with him once, and then I texted him on Instagram. This was before he got drafted. And I texted him on Instagram. I was like, "Hey, you want to hit again?" He said, "Of course." And it was just kind of like that cycle. Like we started hitting with each other, once a week, twice a week, and then he actually opened up his own facility, 1-for-1 training in Bellingham. When I was 13 years old. So then like we go in there and hit a bunch. He had a rap soda, so we do competitions and stuff like that. And then this offseason I didn't play basketball, so I was able to be with him 5 days out of the week. So I was spending a lot of time with him. But it was that kind of relationship where it was like, all right, he's like he's cool, like he's like kind of my hitting guy that I go to. I look up to him. To now he's like literally my brother. Like I text him, I call him every single day. It's like we're more brothers than friends or like coach player type of thing.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And maybe you guys will have a little reunion in Pro Ball. Who knows?
I know.
Are you a Mariners fan?
I'm a huge Mariners fan. Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Moving away from our interview section, our next segment is going to be about MLB jerseys. So we're going to do a snake draft here. And we're going to be drafting our favorite current MLB jerseys, whether it's a City Connect, an alternate, home away, whatever. Should we give Xavier the honors of going first here in the snake race?
I feel like we should give our guest I feel like there's, actually, I don't know if there's a clear 1-1. Xavier might have a different thought entirely. But yeah, if Xavier wants the first pick, we can let him have the first pick.
And we'll make a graphic out of this for the social medias and probably have to let people vote to see who's got good taste and who doesn't. So there is something on the line. Bragging rights, maybe.
Awesome.
All right. You want to pick, Xavier? What do you got? 1-1 MLB jersey.
All right. I was thinking about this earlier. 1-1, hands down, my favorite jersey is the Oakland A's Kelly green top with the white pants. To me, it's just the cleanest. I think it's just the cleanest jersey in the MLB. It's just my personal favorite. Me and my dad really, really like it, so I'm gonna go with that one. 1-1. I don't know what the color combination's called. It's just the Kelly green top with the white pants.
Is that a hot take, Rhys? I'm a green guy, so I like it. I don't know.
I am a big green guy. As we are the biggest like Jacob Wilson fans out there, we've very much been enjoying that jersey combination. So yeah, I mean that A's uniform is just beautiful.
Yeah, a little sentimental too. Rhys, you want to go next?
Oh, I'm gonna keep it classic. I love just the simpleness, the blue of the Dodgers. I think that they have, like, not only are they like, they spend more than any other team, they just have a beautiful, simple, iconic jersey. I think I have to go with that too.
With the third overall pick, hot take here, I'm going to go Kansas City Royals City Connect jerseys. Recency bias because my friend was just wearing one the other day, but you've got the dark blue, kind of the white KC with some baby blue accents. I don't know. I'm a sucker for a good Royals jersey, though. And then for my first pick in the second round, I'm going to go Arizona Diamondbacks black jerseys with kind of that teal and purple. I'm a fan of the Diamondbacks colorway, and I think I lost this draft already, but I'm going to stick to my guns. And it's right back to you, Rhys.
I'm going to go, okay, so I went with like an iconic jersey in the first round. In the second round, I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres City Connect jerseys. The pink, the yellow, the mint, it's just beautiful. I think it's like one of the more fun jerseys, and I think this is the last year we get it, which is very unfortunate.
Okay, second round pick, Xavier. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Royals Baby Blues. Personal favorite. I'm a big fan of baby blue uniforms. I think they look awesome. And then circling back around, I believe it's the first pick in the third round or something.
Yeah.
I was gonna go San Diego Padres City Connects, but I'm gonna shift to the San Diego Padres like tan jerseys. Big fan of those. I'm glad they went back to the older color scheme. I wasn't a big fan of the navy and white, but the tan ones definitely I think they look good.
I think you might have won the draft right there. My next pick was the Padres, any uniform of the Padres, and now I feel like we already got two Padres taken. But Rhys, third round pick.
Third round pick. Do they still play in them? I don't know. If this doesn't count, then I'll have to come up with something on social media. But the Washington Nationals cherry blossom uniforms, those are amazing. I don't really like the new City Connect ones. I don't know what you guys think of them. I know they're not baby blue, but they're kind of like this weird shade of blue. I'm not as big on them as I was these cherry blossom uniforms.
I think that's a really good pick. And I was going to take the Chicago White Sox City Connects, but I just realized that they just released new ones. Have you guys seen the Chicago Bulls inspired City Connects that the White Sox just released?
I don't think I have yet. I'm confused about the City Connects because I thought it was like a one-time thing. Now they're releasing like multiple City Connects.
These are pretty bad. The new they're like they're red and they're the White Sox. I just don't love it. So I'm gonna have to shift. Right? Yeah, I'm gonna shift, and I'm not winning this draft, but I'm gonna have to just go Mariners all whites. Just hometown kid, super homer pick. I just love them. There's something so clean about the Mariner colors. And I think Xavier won this draft, Rhys. I don't think we know jerseys at all.
I think Xavier won the draft. I think I messed up. I went with like the Dodgers going as the first round pick was not a good idea. That's like taking a quarterback in the first round of your fantasy football drafts. You probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Any like all-time jerseys that we're big fans of over here? I'm trying to think of like old school jerseys. St. Louis Cardinal baby blues were always one of my favorites. I don't know if they still wear those though.
Those are sweet. I think they do still wear them. They might still wear them. I'm not sure.
I'm a big sucker for the vest jerseys, you know, the ones where you have like wear your own undershirt underneath and it shows through. There's like sleeveless. I very much am a big fan of those. I know the Diamondbacks have done those in the past. I think a lot of the Diamondbacks older jerseys are really nice. And obviously, I don't think there's enough purple in baseball. I really like what the Rockies do with their jerseys.
Except for the City Connects. The Rockies City Connects are
I actually kind of like them.
Man, we're just all at odds here.
The green ones and the new ones are pretty sweet.
I need to pay more attention to jerseys is what this is telling me. But we'll get that up on social media, and you guys can vote for the next 24 hours or so on that. And Xavier, thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome. And maybe we'll have to get you back on again. And we're so excited to kind of watch what you do over these next couple of months. It's going to be so much fun for you. And now would be a great time for you to shout out kind of where the people can find you on social media. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. A lot of fun doing this podcast. But on social media, it's just Xavier Neyens on Instagram, and then Twitter, just X Neyens. But yeah, those are the handles. So there you go.
Well, we'll be rooting for you, and best of luck the rest of your year and through graduation and all that. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys.
Light a fire and keep it strong. Turn the deadbolt while I'm gone. The storm's rolling in. Can't you hear?
All right. And that was a great interview with Xavier. Rhys, I thought he was we've had two really chill guests so far. I think we've done good with our booking. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's up with these guys from the Pacific Northwest. They seem like they're just pretty chill, like laid-back dudes in general. I mean, you included. And it was nice. It was nice talking some Lego. I actually just recently finished one of the sets that I was talking about him with, and I don't want to build that sort of set anymore. So, shout out to Xavier for being a fellow Lego person.
Yeah, I think it's cool hearing what these, like, you think of these guys as just baseball guys, and then you hear that they like build Legos all the time. And I'm like, they're just like me, right? So I'm kind of hoping that the Mariners now draft Xavier at 3 and Daniel Dickinson at 35 and just kind of complete the Prospects Live trio with me, of course. But we got more important news right here. We got Will Thompson with us. Will, how are you doing?
Nate, I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here and excited to get in the weeds and talk some prospects.
So, Will, the most important question I have is, who are you? Who are you, man?
Well, that's a fair question. So yeah, I joined the Prospects Live team at the beginning of the season on the pro side and MiLB side. I'm one of the evaluators and writers. Primarily, I'll be putting out live looks throughout the season because I live in Houston, Texas, and so primarily Sugarland and the Sugarland Space Cowboys and whoever comes in there from the PCL. Those will be the guys that I'll see more often than most. But I'll be making my way around Texas a little bit, heading up Frisco this weekend, hopefully to see Gage jump. We're hoping it's the hope that kills you. But yeah, so I'm really excited to be here. A little bit of background about me. I was actually not a very good baseball player at all. So I can't relate to Nate, but I really always enjoyed baseball. My my whole life, for sure. Also have a little bit of broadcasting background. I worked for 4 years with the Katuitt Kettleers in the Cape Cod League. I was an assistant coach with that with the team last year. There's a lot of talent on that team that you'll probably hear names called that pretty early in the draft this year. And for the 2022 to 2024 seasons, I helped put together the rosters, and we won a lot of games. So with a lot of great names that we had coming in there, specifically Ben Rice, Chandler Simpson, Victor Scott. So to name a few of some guys that are in the big leagues right now. So it's been cool to watch them kind of rise through the ranks, and certainly some more on the way. But yeah, that's a little about me. But I know everyone's not listening here to hear me give my whole life story. But yeah, that's a little about me. I'm excited to get going.
No, I think they are. I love your articles. I love all the work. You're a great follow on X, which leads me to my next point. Tell the people where they can find you, because Will is a must follow on the socials.
A must follow on the socials for any random thoughts that pop into my head
Exactly.
as I'm watching baseball games. So you can follow me on X at Will_Thompson33. You can follow me on Instagram at Will_T_33. That'll probably be more, Celtics and Rutgers football and basketball content. I don't know, but yeah, primarily on X at Will_Thompson33. You can give me a follow there, and we'll be talking prospects, MLB. Certainly with the little bit of the draft coming up too, and so plenty more to come this baseball season, and certainly going forward.
Later in this episode, when we do the "What's Going On" segment, we might need to talk some basketball. I kind of knew you were a Celtics fan. I didn't quite put it together, but I think that's something that should be discussed at some point.
Is the 33 related to Larry Bird? Sorry to totally derail the conversation and everything.
No, it's a good connection, and I guess I could take credit for that. It was actually my dad's high school number when he played basketball in high school, and so that was the number that I rolled with, because I know you can't see it on video or in audio form. I'm very tall. I'm 6'6". So I was much more of a basketball player in high school than I was a baseball player. But yeah, so the 33 comes from my dad, and wearing the same number that he wore. But I'll take the Larry Bird. I do love some Larry Bird comparisons and talk, but I was not as good as him.
So I'm not saying my height on here. If you're 6'6", I'm definitely not saying my height. and Nate being a former college athlete, I can't imagine that I'm probably the shortest guy on this podcast. Speaking of your dad, I wanted to ask about Matt Thompson. Some are saying you're a Nepo hire, but no big deal, no big there. Yeah, I mean, Drew told us that we had to ask about Matt Thompson, but it's not a big deal. I just want to say, ever since Will messaged me, and Will was very persistent in his DMs to Prospects Live and to me, and honestly, one of the best. I can't believe I managed to get someone as talented as Will.
Oh my gosh! Well, I appreciate you saying all that, Rhys. It's awfully kind. I'm excited to be part of the team here, and truly learning about. I almost feel like I'm catching up sometimes with all the stuff that everyone here does, and all the different. I mean, the stuff that we put out that Prospects Live puts out about baseball cards is unbelievable. And Dynasty baseball. I mean, my Dynasty farm system has gotten way better since I've gotten hired at Prospects Live, and that's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence at all. And as far as Matt Thompson is he's certainly great, and one of the guys that I'm trying to aspire to be like at Prospects Live, and maybe the fact that I'm a Nepo hire, I'll take that on the chin. I understand, and it's probably true, but you got to take the opportunity and run with it.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? So you'll probably be owning this whole place at some point. All right.
We'll see.
So that was a great kind of hot start to our segments here, and now we'll get into a little bit of baseball talk. So Will has seen some great prospects so far this year. Will has seen some great prospects over the years, it sounds like. I didn't know about Chandler Simpson and all that. That's amazing, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Which just means we're going to have you back on already. I think you're already booked for next week, maybe. But to start off, I want to hear your thoughts on Cole Young. So when I asked you for a couple names of guys you want to talk about, the first one I saw was Cole Young. I saw you put out a good tweet the other day about him, and I want to hear your thoughts about this crazy hot streak and power surge that Cole Young is on right now.
Yeah, well, it really has been, and the power surge that he's been on has been really a lot unexpected in a lot of ways. I think that he was thought of more of as, yeah, he's a hit over power guy, maybe not a super standout tool anywhere. Maybe he can stick it short, probably more of a second baseman. But all of a sudden, he got off to a slow start this year in AAA Tacoma. And as a 21-year-old, that's not too unexpected, but. Really, this run over the last 3 to 4 weeks has been incredible. He's been red hot, and with specifically the power surge. And last week when they played at Albuquerque, and yes, the ball flies in Albuquerque, but he hit back-to-back days, 441-foot homer, and then a 458-foot homer. And so, would I go as far to say that, he's going to have plus game power? I don't know if I would go that far, but he has certainly been really impressive on this run. He's not striking out very much. He's his swing decisions are overall pretty good. He's getting on base at a 364 clip in AAA, and so I think if that power can continue to develop, and to expect him to go on to sustain a run like that probably isn't sustainable. But just the fact that it's in there, that's probably more than we could say about Cole Young at the beginning of the year, and that's something that's really promising, I think, for the Mariners organization and Mariners fans.
Yeah, Rhys, are you drinking the Cole Young Kool-Aid?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid for sure, especially when you look at their roster resource. One of my favorite, do you know who's playing second base for them right now? I mean,
Leo Rivas.
Know, Nate.
I know.
No, well, Leo Rivas he's been playing around, but Miles Mastroboni is listed as the starter, and he is a fine bench piece. If he is like your last guy on the bench, you're doing all right, right? Like Cole Young could definitely take that spot and be better than my eyes don't deceive me. It's a 55 WRC plus. Again, we're still really early on in the season, but there's nothing really that Miles Mastroboni brings outside of being like a really good bench piece. So Cole Young really does have a chance to kind of we can all drink the Kool-Aid and sort of hope that he can be called up here at any point, especially while he's riding this hot streak. I saw like in the month of May, although albeit like we're halfway through May, he's hitting like 340 something, and just hitting for a bunch of power. So I mean, will that power really be like neutered in Seattle? Kinda, but like ultimately, I think he's going to be fine. He can't be worse than Miles Mastroboni.
100%, Rhys. And as the Mariners guy on the pod, I would say the Mariners have completely blacklisted Leo Rivas despite his near 500 OBP. Mastroboni was being used as kind of a super utility at the beginning of the season, pinch runner, defensive replacement, outfield, infield, whatever you have it. Kind of the Dylan Moore of past. And that was a perfect role for him. And he was succeeding. He was a league average bat at the start of the year, and now he's a regular, which is not something you want to see from him. I think Cole Young 100% has second base for the second half of the year. And I'm also interested to see if Harry Ford might even unseat Mitch Garver as the backup catcher this year. I think that one's a little less likely. And I know that this wasn't on our prep sheet, but I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. I've been seeing both those guys are having great Mays so far. Harry Ford's found some power again. Two guys who kind of lost their power in the last year or so are both having these resurgences at the same time in AAA. And I'm wondering if the Mariners really decide to go for it and don't make any big moves at the deadline. I think those are probably the first two names we see up from AAA.
Yeah, the specifically about Harry Ford, I think that's definitely possible because you mentioned the power he's starting to hit for now, but the approach is what's been consistent and so impressive, really for his profile and how athletic he is behind the plate. And he can run a little bit. He's a very, very well-rounded prospect, but his approach and his walk rate is unbelievable. And he's able to get on base, and I think that he's really started to make a name for himself and continue to skyrocket up those, possibly pushing ahead that potential major league debut date than I think we would have thought earlier in the year. But yeah, that approach is something that's really impressed me about Harry Ford this year.
The approach and the athleticism really gives him just such a high floor. The thing I've always wondered with Harry Ford is why haven't they tried him out at games at different positions? Because you just look through his minor league game log, and he's only ever played outside of catching and DH. He's only ever played left field, and that was like 8 or so games. He's someone who can handle third base, second base in a pinch, go play any of the corner outfield spots. Honestly, I think he's athletic enough to maybe, he can get by in center field while he develops those routes and everything. And that becomes the ultimate bench piece because let's be real, he's not going to unseat Cal Raleigh anytime soon. Big Dumper is there to stay for a long time, deservedly so. So Harry Ford kind of has to find other ways if he wants to be a quote everyday player. Like the Dodgers were talking about Dalton Rushing coming up, and he has to be an understudy, and then maybe he can play a few other positions. Maybe that's what Harry Ford can do: be the understudy, be the backup catcher, while also being able to play. I mean, he's more defensively versatile than Dalton Rushing, but we're talking about one of the better athletes of the position. And I remember when I saw him in Single A, he has a very dialed in breathing routine before he starts his game, so he can get locked in. There's a very long, he also does this really long, and it made me feel bad about myself in the gym. He does this really long lifting routine right before he goes and catches. There's a whole thing. Harry Ford is very cerebral. I mean, he played for Great Britain when their jerseys were falling apart during the World Baseball Classic. So he's really, he's a very interesting prospect, and I'm very excited to see what the Mariners do with him this season.
He's a sneaky fun prospect, and I think the sign of him getting promoted is going to be him getting moved out from catcher. I think the second we start seeing him bounce around the field a little bit more in AAA is probably once they've deemed him the bat is too good to stay down there. It's kind of what I'm thinking. But I can't go a podcast without talking about my Mariners, so we're going to move on for the rest of the episode and get off them now. Otto Kemp. Rhys, I'm going to come back to you right here. Otto Kemp has been super hot all year for the Phillies in AAA. What do you kind of think about his? First of all, I kind of want to know a ceiling on him because I think the floor is high enough, but I don't know if the ceiling's quite as high as some might make it out to be amidst his hot start.
So I wonder what other people think his ceiling is, because is he better than Alec Bohm? Probably. I mean, Alec Bohm, let's be real, unless he's really taken a step forward, has not been, 79 WRC plus from a corner infielder. I would rather roll my chances with Otto Kemp, who's going to be cheaper, by the way. So, can he be 15 to 18 to 20 home runs? Sure, yeah. And plays a competent enough third base. That's sort of what I kind of envision with him. I don't think he's ever going to be an all-star third baseman or anything like that, but a perfectly average, even as Drew might say, cromulent third baseman. That's what we can kind of expect from Otto Kemp.
What do you got, Will?
Yeah, I agree. I think that I don't think the ceiling is terribly high, but I think when you're looking at a 50 overall future potential player for a guy that was for an undrafted signee out of Division II Point Loma, powerhouse by the way, that's really impressive. And the numbers in AAA this year have been they've been outrageous. With a 171 WRC plus. Now, granted, a 417 BABIP helps that, and it's pretty incredible that he's been able to sustain that for as long as he has without necessarily being an above average runner. But I think that there's if the bar is can he be better than Alec Bohm, I think he definitely can. I mean, a couple of the concerns that I have about him is there's a little too much. There's a lot of swing and miss, specifically in the zone, and that's something that's concerned me with him. His in zone contact rate is just under 80%, and he's striking out at around a 26% clip. So I think that that is what concerns me a little bit. But when he makes contact, he hits the ball hard. He can play a bunch of different positions. The Phillies are bouncing him all around the field, and regardless of if the Phillies decide to call him up, we know that with the 80-game suspension of Jose Alvarado, and in general how much of a mess that the Phillies bullpen has been this year, the Phillies are going to be attacking, trying to add relievers and high-end relievers at the deadline. And with what we've seen in these past few years with the market and these returns that teams are getting for their quality relievers, because there are so few sellers, I think Otto Kemp is going to be a guy that a lot of teams are asking about come at the trade deadline. He's a guy that's currently not on the 40-man now. And so he would have to be added at the end of the season to protect him from Rule 5. So I think even if it doesn't work with the Phillies and they're committed to sticking with Alec Bohm, which I mean, I wouldn't, but that's entirely possible that they do. I think Otto Kemp is going to be a guy that a lot of teams are calling about when the Phillies are looking for bullpen help at the deadline.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree with you there. I think that there's going to be a choice that needs to be made by the trade deadline, which one to keep. I know Alec Boehm started out the year as cold as he possibly could. He's improved a little bit since then, but I think Rhys brought up a great point with the money attached to Alec Boehm. I think he's set to make, upwards of $12 million, something around there, which is a lot of money for a guy who isn't hitting very well right now. So it'll be interesting to see if the Phillies want to take a shot on the young guy playing, possibly playoff baseball down the stretch, or if they're going to stick with Alec Boehm, who kind of can't get it done with the stick right now. But either way, I think one of them has to go, and one of them will probably get traded for a reliever. I think that's a really good point there, Will. Moving on here, this is one of Will's guys. I know this. So I'll give you the first crack at it. Miguel Eola. What do you got for me, Will?
Yeah, so Miguel Eola is a guy that he's very raw. He's not ready yet, but he is a guy that really excites me. That I've watched a couple times. That I've watched a couple times in Sugarland. He's only 22 years old, and he's not a finished product. There's some command problems. He needs a consistent third pitch, but his fastball has so much carry and ride to it. I mean, the Astros, they are the best organization at developing fastballs and high carry, high ride fastballs. They've done it consistently. And when I watch Eola, I think Christian Javier. I think that type of fastball it's only like 93 to 96. Radar gun won't blow you away, but the whiff rate the whiffs that he gets on it are insane. I mean, the guys will chase out of the zone, and he really makes his mark with that fastball living at the top of the zone. His changeup in the last outing that I saw looked a lot improved. It looked very much improved from the first time that I saw him. His slider is his sliders kind of has more of a cutter shape in the upper 80s. It doesn't have a ton of bite to it. It's not a big swing and miss pitch yet. And I think the curveball is definitely flash plus as well, that it's been able to get swings and misses. So am I sold on him as a starter long term? I'm not sold on that, but at the very least, I think there is a late inning reliever in there with Eola, and it's the fastball has so much ride, and it's something that I think is going to continue to translate well, and it just shows that the Astros, this is a guy that was not they didn't pay a whole lot of money for as an international free agent. Seems like no one does that better than them with pitchers, with getting bargain signings from international free agency. And I think Eola is just the next guy in line, and I'm really excited for him.
Rhys, do you agree with Will there?
I totally agree with him. I know this is a big Matt guy. Matt loved Eola. I think he's just a reliever, and I think he's going to be really good in the back end of that bullpen. That fastball, I mean, like you said, he's just getting swings and misses out of the zone with it, which is provides him such a nice floor, even if he is walking him. He's always been someone who's walked kind of a ridiculous amount of batters. I mean, if you just go through his minor league totals, I mean, basically he's always hovered around 12, upwards of 12% and everything like that. I know we're not really supposed to scout the stat line and stuff like that, but once you're starting to get above 12%, that's when I start to get worried about you as a starter, unless you legitimately have Blake Snell level stuff where you can just get by with two pitches. And Eola doesn't have that. I think that like Will said, the fastball's really good, and then the slider's good too, but as with the cuttery shape, I wonder if he's someone who maybe develops a better third pitch is going to be, maybe that's what it is, but he still needs to learn to throw some more strikes. But like I said, really good high leverage option.
This is a guy that has me salivating for the Dynasty closer hierarchy in 3 updates from now. Once Houston needs a little push at the end of the year and they want to bring him up to the bullpen, I think that he'll be almost an instant leverage type of guy. Because just with the fastball like that, you don't need much else out of the bullpen. Moving on to our next guy, and this one I'm not even going to try and pronounce. We're going to say just the password. That's all we're doing all day long, unless someone has a pronunciation on him. But the password was promoted to AAA. The password promoted. Rhys, what do you got on the password here?
It seems like Will wants to go first because I'm terrified of this name. I look at it every time.
I can't guarantee this. I think it's Johns Nixon or something close to that. I think.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
But we can roll with Garcia or the password. That's fine too. Yeah. So I think I will say I'm a little bit surprised. I think the promotion in my opinion, and as a Red Sox fan, I am excited for Garcia. I do think that the promotion was a little bit quick. He's done some good things, a 116 WRC plus. The walk rate specifically has taken a big jump from his stint because he had about a 30-game stint in Double-A last year at the end of the year, and a 33-game sample to start the year. Last year, 4.8% walk rate. This year up to 13%, and so that's definitely a good sign. But the power has gone down quite a bit, and I think in order for Garcia to really fill out his profile, the power is going to really need to start to show up in game, and which it did last year, and it hasn't early on this year. Now, granted, especially in Portland, Maine, a lot of prospects playing, offensive prospects who are power hitters playing in April in Portland is tough. It's tough with the weather, and so could you attribute some of it to that? Maybe. I think you could, but I like the prospect overall. He's a pretty good athlete, but the power is going to have to be there. And I don't know if I love the Red Sox trying to move him up to AAA that quickly when the power hasn't showed up in this AA sample as of yet. I think it's a little bit quick, in my opinion.
It's definitely aggressive.
Shout out to Will for finding any way to not say his first name, the prospect. I don't blame you, man. It's a tough name. The power taking a step back has really hurt him, and I do wonder if this is an ultimate showing off for a trade because the Red Sox are trying to be competitive. I mean, we can talk every podcast on the Face of the Baseball podcast has talked about whatever the heck they're doing at first base, third base, whatever, right? Like, so maybe he might be part of the solution to that. Although I don't really think that you trade Garcia for Nate Lowe. Like, the Nate Lowe seems to be the best first base player on the market right now. So, but yeah, I think the password, because I'll follow in the theme of avoiding the first name, is been really good. I do wonder where the power sort of disappeared to, because it sort of happened last year in Double-A as well. Like, the power just sort of took a step back after he slugged 517 in Single A and 627, albeit in a really brief sample at High A.
What's going on in Portland, Maine, man? I've never been even near that area, but there must be something going on out there. I think it's notable to see that the contact percentage has jumped up 7%. The swinging strike percentage has almost been cut in half. I think that is a huge explanation for kind of the power decreases. There's clearly an approach change in there, because overnight you don't go from making that much more contact and missing that much less. So I don't know if I necessarily love that kind of approach change, because I kind of liked him as the kind of power bat who could swing and miss, and I think all was well in the world when that was going on. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of grow into that power again, kind of with this adjustment, because if he does, then we have a really, really complete player with a lot less holes than he used to have. But it's kind of a concerning adjustment for a guy. I think I'd rather see the power out of a young prospect than the hit tool in this case, especially for the Red Sox who are loaded, right? So we'll kind of see how that develops. So moving on to some more Red Sox news. Will, I want to ask you about kind of the Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer, Christian Campbell situation, and kind of where you see the Red Sox going with that trio. What's going on in Boston right now? I've saw Christian Campbell got a first base glove. Stuff's starting to get weird, and Roman Anthony is still in AAA. And I want to know your thoughts on this.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in Boston right now. There's no doubt about that. And, with the whole Devers not moving to first base thing, like as Rhys said, every baseball podcast in the world has talked about what they think about the whole of, is Devers right? Is Devers wrong? I don't think we need to talk about that. But the ramifications that it has, it looks like that the Red Sox want to move Christian Campbell over to first base for at least the short term. They've started working him out there, and he did get a first base glove. I don't know. I don't know how far off he is from potentially playing in games. Now, there definitely is kind of heightened urgency because of the offensive struggles that they've had as a team, and the fact that you're running Nick Sogard and Abraham Toro out at first base every day. That's, for a position where you got to get offensive production. it's tough to live like that for very long. And so I think Campbell's athletic enough to do it. And so I don't have a ton of concerns there. And the fact that he did have his struggles at second base this year as well. But that opens the door for Marcelo Meyer. And I think that with stories of good defensive shortstop, with the money they're committed to paying him, probably going to keep him there and ride that out as long as they can. But it looks like that there's going to be a hole for Marcelo Meyer to play at second base. And I think that's really exciting, because now it opens a hole for one of their top prospects. And Myers got off to a little bit of a slow start in AAA, but he's been hitting the ball really well. He's been hitting for power as well, and following up a spring where he was a monster all spring. And so I think with Meyer starting to play second base now in Worcester, that's not a coincidence. That's the Red Sox long-term vision. Now, I mean, with Roman Anthony, I mean, Anthony's back on fire again, even though a lot of his hits have mostly been singles of late, instead of him just mashing the ball over the wall or in the gaps like he was earlier in the year. Now, granted, the strikeout rate is down, so possibly an approach thing a little bit, but I mean, as far as how they fit Roman Anthony into that mix, there are so many outfielders in Boston, and if they're not willing to take out Cedar Rafaela's elite defense in center field, it's tough to find a spot for Roman Anthony right now, unless you're just going to have to do it and make the tough decision to sacrifice defense for offense, which I think there might come a point where they're just going to have to do it, even though Rafaela has made some improvements.
It's a good problem to have, but it upsets me not seeing Roman Anthony up, because I do have him in a bunch of my fantasy leagues, so I'd love that production sooner rather than later. But Rhys, I want to know your thought on this kind of jumble of stuff going on in Boston right now.
So it seems like going into the season that they wanted to have Marcelo Meyer. They said that he was going to split time at third base more, which is interesting considering that they, spend money on Rafael Devers and Alex Bregman. But again, you can never have enough options at that point. And then they said that they wanted to put him at second base. So Christian Campbell moving over to first base, I think that's kind of he's been bad. He's been bad at stretch has been bad at second base. But I think moving into first base is a little bit I hope that's not where they ultimately end up putting him. And like Will said, Cedar Rafaela's elite defense kind of makes things very awkward. But if they do really want to sacrifice the elite otherworld defense, I mean, whether you like Baseball Savant or not, there's a lot of red on his defensive stuff. Like we're talking about one of the best outs above average defenders, one of the best arms in general, 93 miles per hour from center field. And then he's a really quick runner. There's a lot that it's a very good problem to have. It's a very weird roster of ill-fitting parts. Plus, there's drama on who's the third baseman, who's the DH, who's the first baseman. Because one guy, I don't want to get too much into this, but he doesn't have to talk to the media, right? He doesn't need to. He has. If we're going to do a blame pie, he's not completely blameless in this situation, but the Red Sox, I think, definitely have 60 to 70% of the blame. They never prepare this guy for first base, which ultimately seemed we all knew was kind of coming down at some point, right? He's one of the worst defensive third basemen in all of baseball. He moves to DH to do whatever, and then now they're like, hey, you should play first base. He's like, I've never played there, so now they have to shoehorn Christian Campbell into this spot, and it's just interesting to see how it all goes. I mean, does Roman Anthony play first base? I feel like that's a complete waste of his talents, because it's not like he's a terrible defender in an outfield spot. He's a perfectly fine center fielder who's going to be a plus defender in a corner, which they happen to have that and Wilyer Abreu, who's one of the best defensive right fielders in all of baseball. So it's a weird roster of ill-fitting pieces right now, but I think it'll ultimately get fine. I think it's a good problem to have, like you said, because Alex Bregman's hitting the absolute crap out of the ball. So it's a good problem to have.
I think it's one of the more fun trade machine teams, which is something that we'll talk about on our next episode, Rhys. From a baseball perspective, I have kind of 2 points here. First of all, I have always thought, and haven't hit in a couple of years now, I'm a pitcher, so forgive me. I always thought first base was one of the easier positions to learn, especially if you're a middle infielder. I think those kind of pick skills don't necessarily change too much from the middle to first base. Once you get a couple reps and you kind of learn how fields play, I don't think Christian Campbell, with his plus athleticism, will be so bad at first base that it doesn't work out. I think that he's a perfectly fine Band-Aid until the deadline. And my other point would be moving Rafaela out from center field doesn't just hurt your team's defense. I think it hurts your pitching staff too, man. I've played with some great defensive center fielders over my previous career, and And there's no better feeling than pitching knowing you have a Gold Glover in center field. And I've been blessed to do that before, and it completely changes a game. And with a pitching staff that has, some reinforcements coming, and it's not bad by any means, I think prioritizing that defense in center field is the best thing you can do to aid a pitching staff. And I'm of the opinion that you should keep Rafaela in center field permanently, but that's just one man's opinion. Moving on, I want to do a little game here with you guys on who your favorite Blue Jays pitching prospect is. I never thought that we would play this game. Just a year ago, I thought the Blue Jays had the worst farm in the league, and I was so down on everything that they were doing. But now they have kind of a handful of pitching prospects, and I want to know your guys' thoughts and who your favorite is. I'm going to let Rhys go first on this one.
I mean, my favorite is their best one, who, I mean, if certain things changed in the draft, I know for certain if he was drafted by a team that plays with red in Los Angeles, he would be in the major leagues right now. I know. So that's my guy, Trey Savage, but I want to go with someone a little bit different. I always liked, let me pull him up. I feel like I'm stalling here, and I definitely am not trying to do that on purpose. Ooh, why is his name not popping up on the roster resource? Shout out roster resource. The one time that's let me down. I always like Jarian Watts-Brown. I always thought he was kind of good, like a really good high leverage reliever type sort of stuff. But I'll let Will go first because I feel like I'm stalling here.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Look, I think Savage is the easy call, and I certainly love him, and I'm ready for him to I'm ready for him to move up to high A like now. But I think as far as my favorite outside of him, I think Cal Steven is a guy that's really come on this year, and he's gotten off to a great start in low A as well. 7 starts, he's 7 walks to 48 Ks in 39 innings. I mean, he's a guy, he fills up the zone, he throws a ton of strikes, and he's honestly he's a guy that I saw on the Cape when he was there. He was one of the Whitey Red Sox consistent starters. I didn't know if he did well, but I didn't know if I saw this coming with the type of bats he's been able to miss so far. So I think Steven's a guy who's really come on for me, and a guy that I've taken a big liking to. I didn't love him when Toronto picked him in the second round of last year, but I've been pleasantly surprised, and I'm ready. But granted, the whole SEC pitcher dominating low A, I get it. I get and understand kind of the the stigma behind it, like so what. But I think for Cal Steven, it's for real, and I'm ready to see him get a shot in high A.
I want to shout out one more guy, by the way. I'm so sorry, Nate. I feel like I'm doing
No, it's fine. I just have a surprise for Will.
Adam Mako is another guy that I really like. The first ever Slovakian-born player. He has a chance to become that. Played out of Ireland. He's rehabbing right now. I think he has a chance to sort of pitch some interesting innings. I don't remember if the Blue Jays are doing all that great right now. I know they just got beat by the Tigers and this past weekend and rivalry weekend. Whichever we can talk about that if we want to later. Mako is another guy that I really like, left-hander who can kind of just has some good stuff.
A former Mariner, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Will, boy, do I have news for you.
Okay.
3 Blue Jays pitching prospects all got promoted to high A all together just a couple days ago, being Savage, Cal Steven, and my guy, who I'm taking before Rhys can take his guy, even though he's already taken like 3, Gage Stanifer. So, with Gage, we have a .69 ERA. That's awesome, first of all. Right, nice. Thank you, Rhys. Has cut the walks down a bunch from last year. He spent all of his 2024 in low A to not great success. We're looking at over a 6 ERA, a 5 FIP. He's walking nearly 8 guys per game. It just wasn't going to happen. And this year we've seen a complete stuff resurgence. He went to what I like to call stuff camp this offseason and completely kind of changed his arsenal around, and now is striking out a bunch more batters per inning, and he was just a 19th round pick in 2022. So Gage Stanifer, I think, is going to be my Blue Jays guy, but there's plenty to go around. Rhys, do you want to pick a 4th Blue Jay guy?
No, I can't. I don't want to take any more Blue Jays guys. I feel like if I keep doing that, I think Jake Bloss. I wish that he wasn't hurt. I've always liked him. Notable prospect Spencer Turnbull is in their AAA rotation. Easton Lucas
Yeah.
did not do very well in his, and he got sent down to Buffalo. I guess I wonder if all three of them got their passport at the same time. They're like, we might as well get these guys up now to Vancouver. So yeah, it was interesting that Yasavage has spent as much time as he has in single A.
Yeah, it's like a group passport shipment or something.
Yeah.
Why can't Ricky Tiedemann be healthy? That's the one thing I want to throw out there, because it was either last year, it was either I think, because I saw him pitch with New Hampshire in Double A at Reading, and I came away from that start, I was like, oh my God, this is an ace. This is an ace. He was up to 98, was absolutely untouchable. Like I think like it was like one walk and like 10 or 11 strikeouts in 6 innings. Gave up I think 1 hit. He was pounding the zone. He was getting in, like, anytime he would expand the zone, hitters were chasing. The slider was so good, and the fastball was untouchable. I mean, if you're asking for my favorite Blue Jays prospect, I think Ricky. I think Tiedemann's got to be there, but it's just he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And but he was one of the very, very few guys that I watched in person, and I came away with like, wow, that is an ace. That is an ace in the making, and he just hasn't been able to stay healthy or keep it consistent. And I hope that happens one day, but that day's not today.
I think in 2 years the Blue Jays are going to be really excited, because if a couple of these guys stick, they're going to have options for that. A big league team that hasn't had necessarily the most exciting pitching prospects in the last couple of years, in my opinion. Moving on to someone who is exciting, Mick Abel and his stunning 9 strikeout debut, tying a Phillies record for strikeouts in a debut. Sent right back down to AAA right after his start. But Mick Abel looked like the real deal, and it's been a long time coming for Mick. Rhys, you got any thoughts on kind of what you see from Abel in the long term? I know there's a crowded Phillies rotation, but in the short term, that success was awesome.
Didn't Nola just go on the IL, or he's been dealing with like some stuff? So I wonder
think he did. Yeah.
I wonder if there's a chance that Mick Abel's back up pretty quickly. But he's been awesome.
Yeah.
Like I know. Shout out to Jeff Ponce. He was mentioning that a lot of his problems are actually slider related. They're not fastball command. He just hasn't been able to find consistent command of a slider as a professional, and that's ultimately what's made the strikeout or the walk rate go a little higher than normal. But it's really good stuff. He had a marvelous debut. I'm not trying to take it against him. It was against the Pirates, but still, you can only play who's in front of you. The fastball's elite. The slider, when located well, is good. The curveball is good. Everything's there for him to be a really good pitching prospect. He just needs to get that slider command down if he's ever going to be a consistent. The stuff's mid-rotation plus. Like, I think it's a really good pitcher. I wish that he could just get that command just dialed in just a touch more, and then we could just talk about him as a set it and forget it rotation guy for what is probably, when healthy, the best rotation in all of baseball.
Will, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. His debut was so impressive, and we mentioned the improvements in command, and the fact that the way that he was able to dominate AAA with that, with his refined command was really impressive. And I think you're right though, Rhys, for him really to really take the next step in being a consistent mid-rotation arm, the slider's got to develop more. The curveball, the curveball was dominant against Pittsburgh. Yes, it was against the Pirates, but the Pirates couldn't hit it. I think it got like 8 whiffs and 11 swings or something absurd like that in his major league debut. So the curveball is legit, but it's very tough to get by with without a reliable slider, and primarily working with a fastball curveball change. I guess Ben Brown is that 2-pitch guy, the fastball curveball guy. I don't think Mick Abel's that, but I think that that major league debut, and yes, it was against the Pirates, but that was about as good as you can hope for. I hope optioning him was more of a paper move to get some extra arms up for their series in Colorado. But I think that I'm hoping he can stick. I'm really high on him, and specifically last year I was really concerned. I'm like, wow, like he has all the tools to put it together, and is it really going to go to waste after his first full season in Lehigh Valley, but he pitched quite a bit the year before there as well. But I was really impressed, and that curveball really dominated in his major league debut. So I'm excited to see him out there again.
Yeah, and with Aaron Nola being, I think, the worst ERA qualified pitcher so far this year, they're not going to rush him back off the IL. So I think Mick definitely has a couple starts left in him this year before Andrew Painter inevitably just takes over. And something interesting about Mick is that he's a curveball fastball guy, and you really don't see a whole lot of those. And as a pitcher myself, I've been trying to kind of wrap my head around this looking at the numbers. Because with his profile, you think pronator all the day, all the time. Like you can probably spike a curveball, but you'd expect him to have a better changeup than he does. Only throwing the changeup 5% of the time. Not crazy movement, pretty inconsistent on that. And the slider, man, is really, really not great at all. It's more cutter, if anything, when looking at the profile. So he's kind of a pitching anomaly for my analysis right now. And I do know that the Phillies did call up Max Lazar, who is a member of the Dynasty closer hierarchy, on the Phillies hierarchy. So they did bring up a reliever, so I'm assuming that the next spot that comes up for Abel will be his. Moving right along, though, another call-up that I think is somewhat important, especially for our fantasy baseball owners in the short term, Carson McCusker. Big fella. I don't have the height on him, but I know he's gigantic and he hits bombs. Will, I know you have a little bit of analysis on him. I'd love to hear what you think about Big Gusker. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got to have it. He's got to come up. Like, there's got to be a nickname out there for him. I wonder what it is, or we can create something or something like that. But I mean, yeah, Carson McCusker, he is humongous. I mean, he's literally the size of an NFL, like. I mean, honestly, probably a little taller than NFL tight end. At 6'8", he's listed at 6'8", 250 pounds. And he is such an interesting story because he was he played through his age 23 season at Oklahoma State, ended up going to was originally drafted back in 2017, the 26th round, didn't sign, played at Oklahoma State, didn't get drafted out of Oklahoma State because his numbers were decent college numbers. They weren't great, and certainly for for a guy that big, it wasn't necessarily, he was going to have to hit. So he went to Indy Ball in the Frontier League up in Tri-City, and he was. He was pretty good. He got a cup of tea with the Twins, and he was back in Indy Ball. But then his run at the outset of 2023 was unbelievable. I mean, in 37 games, he hit 17 home runs and hit 433. Just unbelievable. He raked. He raked in AAA this year to get the call up. Now, am I sold on it being am I sold on him as a prospect? Not really. He's really aggressive. He's got a really aggressive approach. I mean, has certainly hit for power. I just there's a lot of strikeouts there, so I'm not totally sold on the prospect, but it's a really, really fun story, and I certainly hope he works out.
Rhys, you got anything on the big fella?
He is massive. He went to Folsom Community College, which is like one of the smaller community colleges in the Sacramento-ish area, before he went on to Oklahoma State, I believe. He's basically, we're talking about massive dude. Hits for a lot of power. I wonder if it's going to work. It's going to be like on not an Aristides Aquino sort of stretch, but that's sort of the role. Come in, power bat, and maybe he gets hot. Maybe he can figure it out, because I don't really think it's a consistent big leaguer. Maybe he flashes for a little bit. But I mean, for someone who's gone through as much as he has, I mean, 2017 draft pick, so that's 7 drafts ago basically, and all the way making his major league debut at this point is kind of impressive.
I'd 100% agree. I think it's just cool that he got there. He's been on our AAA daily sheet nearly every single day I have written this year, just because it's consistently, eye-popping, eye-catching stat lines out of McCusker. And I would love to see like a Linsanity power run from him. I don't think it's super likely, but I think it's a fun story. Moving on to Noah Cameron. Has had a couple good starts now in the big leagues, in an interesting Royals rotation, in a playoff hunt Royals team. And I want to know your thoughts on it, Will. Do you think Noah Cameron's for real? What do you think the outlook is for the rest of 2025 for him? And then obviously moving forward.
Well, do I think he's going to be certainly as good as he's been in his first two starts over the full year? Of course not. But I do think that there's a potential for a guy that could stick in the back end of the rotation, given the fact that now, unlike his first start when he carried the no hitter late into the game, I think he carried it into the seventh inning in Tampa, and then immediately got optioned because Cole Reagans was going to be back his next start. Now Cole Reagans has hit the IL, Seth Lugo has hit the IL, and they're really going to need an extended run out of Noah Cameron. He's not going to overpower you. He's kind of more that lefty strike thrower, throw the kitchen sink at him type of mold, and I think there's a place for that. And do I think he's going to dominate? No. But I think that there's enough of a profile for me to feel comfortable, especially as a left-handed starter, to be a solid back end of the rotation type of guy until their rotation starts to get healthy. But I tell you, these first two starts, you can't draw it up much better than what Noah Cameron's had in Kansas City.
Yeah, Rhys, what do you got?
I got not a lot of strikeouts. When we're talking about an 8.1% swinging strike rate, he's not getting a lot of whiffs, but he's managing to make it work. I mean, the Royals defense isn't like atrocious behind him, so that gives them some level of safety. I mean, having Bobby Witt back there is pretty nice. And I just think that like he's perfectly fine. If he's your fifth starter, you're doing well. And obviously for a team like the Royals who signed the immortal Rich Hill. And if Rich Hill makes his major league debut, he will tie or exceed Edwin Jackson for the most teams ever played for in a career. So I'm really hoping for Rich Hill on that one. But Noah Cameron just going to be totally fine. Like 5-starter. I wish he got a little bit more swings and misses, but I think he'll figure that out. The sequencing part of Major League Baseball, because that tends to be the last bit. He can get weak contact. He does a really good job of that. I really liked Will's shout of him being a kitchen sink sort of approach. When he said that, I was like, oh, that was exactly how I was going to describe him. So yeah, it's going to be really good, like number 5 starter who's going to get an extended run with a team that is in the playoff hunt.
He's thrown 6 1/3 innings in both of his starts so far, which is just one of those stats that does matter because he's just getting deep enough into games and not giving up, hard contact. Sure, the BABIP is 0.59 and the ERA is sub 1 compared to the xFIP being at 5, but who cares about those nerdy numbers? He's having fun. I love a good crafty lefty. And it's exactly what the Royals need right now is eat some innings and maybe learn your curveball from Rich Hill or something. I don't know. Moving on to kind of our last prospect in our prospect talk segment here, Carson Whisenhunt. Rhys, what do you got on him?
He is pitching fantastically. I believe he just won AAA Pitcher of the Week. He's been nothing short of amazing. I mean, the strikeouts aren't crazy. We're talking about 9.1-ish per 9, which is still really good. Strikeout ending is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But the command's really taken a step forward. The home run, he was getting up a lot of home runs last year. He's dialed it down a little bit. The ERA's in a good spot. And we're talking about a team that, I mean, the Giants are kind of a weird team in general. They do things their own way. But, I mean, there's a chance for him to get some sort of playing time with them. I think he's the next guy up. I mean, this is a team that's moved Kyle Harrison to relief after, a long time of everyone, people being very excited about him. Jordan Hicks is finally a reliever. Thank goodness. I'm tired of seeing the Jordan Hicks starting experiment. It didn't work. It taxed the bullpen. It was just a terrible idea for everything. And I mean, he got paid, so I'm not really complaining on his part, right? He got paid a nice contract to try and be a starter. But this is a team that has Justin Verlander, Robbie Ray. I mean, they have some older guys that might need, I don't want to say a Phantom IL stint, but some time resting, and maybe Carson Whisenhunt can sort of come in, be the guy who gives them some rest. I mean, when you're 42 and 33, Robbie Ray's younger than I thought he was. I thought Robbie Ray was like going up into like 38, something like that. So shout out to Robbie Ray. But yeah, Carson Whisenhunt's sort of the guy. I think that he's their depth option. I think he has a chance to maybe help them make this push in this absolutely loaded division and maybe steal the final wildcard spot.
Whoa. I don't know about that, but I'm also a Giants hater. Will, what do you got on Carson for me?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Carson Whisenhunt, and there's no doubt that he has made significant strides this year, specifically when it comes to strike throwing. I mean, this year in Sacramento, he's only walked 7 guys in 51 innings, and to go from a guy who through most of his minor league career, not that command and strike throwing was necessarily a problem, but it certainly wasn't a strength. And he was around 4.5 walks per 9, which walk every 2 innings. You'd ideally like to, especially as a starter who's not going to get a ton of strikeouts or a ton of whiffs. You'd like it to be a little bit lower than that. Try and keep base runners off. But this year has been significantly improved in that, and I think he's a guy that really knows who he is. Keeps it simple. A sinker slider change. The changeup is so good. The changeup is the Whisenhunt's changeup is just a thing of beauty, and so specifically, I love those type of guys because when they go up into the big leagues and they're facing lineups who are against them with all the different these different platoons that the better teams have, and you gotta, as a left-handed pitcher, you're gonna have to try and find a way to get through the lineup 2 or 3 times with 7 right-handed hitters. You got to find a way, and I think his changeup, he's really leaned on that more. He's throwing it just under 38% of the time, and it is a lethal changeup. And so I think you combine that with the better strike throwing. I don't think he's an ace, but I think in San Francisco he's a pretty good fit who could play a role with them somewhat soon. And Rhys, I totally agree with you about Jordan Hicks. I don't know why that was I'm all for trying to turn relievers into starters. If you like someone with the profile, we've seen it with Seth Lugo and Clay Holmes, to name a few. I don't know why the Giants saw Jordan Hicks as a reliever and was like, starter. But so it certainly didn't work. Thank goodness he's back in the bullpen. But yeah, there's a spot that could open up for Whisenhunt soon, and he's been really impressive.
I think my favorite thing that you said there, Will, is Carson Whisenhunt is someone who knows who he is on the mound. I think that's such an underrated part of pitching, and that's something like I talk about all the time when I'm looking to recruit people for college baseball. Is do they know who they are? And you often see that the guys who are trying to be what they aren't tend to have less success than the others. So I think that is a great phrase that I'm going to have to steal and start throwing around a lot more. But we got through a bunch of prospect talk there, and we will have more right after this break from our musical guests. They're our musical sponsor, I suppose, the Drop Teens. All the music you hear on this podcast comes from them, so check them out on any of your music streaming platforms, and we'll be right back. And we are back from that lovely song, which I do not know the name of because I haven't decided or edited this thing yet. But the Drop Teens, I can't say it enough. The music's so good, man. If you like country music like I do, go listen. But so for our next segment here, kind of moving away from just talking random prospects, we're talking about prospect risers, which is not too much different from what we just talked about, but it's going to be a different kind of segment. We're going back to the snake draft, Rhys, that we've tried already this episode with Xavier, and we're going to go a snake draft here with 2 picks each. One of your picks is going to be a prospect that you expect to rise up our rankings by our mid-season what would you call it, update, and one prospect who's outside of our top 100 that you expect to join our top 100 come update time. So we're going to start with Will, and then we're going to snake around this thing. And Will, you can pick either a top 100 prospect or a anyone you want, and you have the floor, my friend.
All right, so I'll start with a guy that is within our top 100, and that's Arjun Nivala, who's currently at number 77, and I think he's a guy that's going to continue to rise up. Number one, he's still so young. He's going to be 19 years old. Throughout this entire year, he's gotten off to a great start in High A with he's got a 133 WRC plus in a Northwest League that's tough to hit in early in the season. But the thing that really sticks out to me, and it's really impressive that he's been able to make this much of an improvement this early, which is with his swing and miss, because he was a guy he's a bigger shortstop, big time raw power that shows up in game as well. Exit velocities are off the charts. but he's cut down his K rate from last year, which was up over 30%, and in just 1 year so far in the high A, it's down to 20%. I think, and he's still hitting for the same type of power. He's got 7 home runs in his first 34 games, 507 slugging percentage, 391 WOBA. I mean, Namala, I think the biggest concern that I had for him coming into the year was the swing and miss, was the strikeout rate and that hit tool. And oh my goodness, I was hoping that it would improve, and certainly that he's going to improve from when he was an 18-year-old. But the fact that it made this drastic of an improvement this soon is something that is really exciting. I mean, he's a big strong kid. I think he's going to fill out and project well. And I think the defense might have to get a little better. We'll have to see if he sticks it short, but or maybe ends up more towards third. But I think that Namal is a guy I'd be advocating to rise up a lot in the rankings. He's made some significant improvements.
I love it. And Rhys, on to your first round pick.
I'm going to stay in the same organization, and I know Nate is not happy with the comment that he wrote. I'm going to go with Trey Savage. We talked about him earlier, and in his last start in Single A, we're talking about someone who got 21 swings and misses, which felt like the norm for him during his time in Single A. The stuff all looked really good under the hood. I mean, let me pull up the MiLB Savant page because it's pretty crazy. We're talking about, let me scroll past the non-prospect Pirates arms of that day. The fastball was really good, touching 95. The cutter was really strong. The slider was really good. Didn't really throw the changeup a lot. That's fine. But yeah, Trey Savage, I think he's going to fly up the rankings. He's a pretty ready-made. What do you guys think the upside is? SP3 with maybe some SP2 seasons during his peak years? I don't think he's an ace, but I think that he's definitely in that sort of realm of prospectum.
I would agree 100%. I think SP2, SP3 for sure. And I think the floor is pretty high, as well as the ceiling being, fair, right? SP2 is a great ceiling for a prospect. And I don't know how many SP1s are really left in the minors soon after we see like the Andrew Painters and the Bubba Chandlers kind of make their way up. So I do think Trey is going to be one of the top arms come mid-season in the prospect ranks. Moving on to my picks. My first one is going to come as no surprise to anyone who's listened to this podcast before, so I'll spare you the intense analysis here on Johnny Farmello. I've seen him in person. Man, he looks so good coming off an ACL injury that I just don't believe it. I know that Colt Emerson's starting to heat up. I've been throwing this take around that Johnny Farmello might be the best Mariners prospect. I'm not sure if I fully believe it myself, but I think those two are kind of 1A and 1B right now for me. And I think he's a true center fielder with really good jumps. Once he's allowed to start stealing bases again, which the Mariners have cautioned him against doing, the profile just becomes that much more exciting. And you'll see him rise up our P Live Plus leaderboards and such once that does happen. But I think Johnny Farmello is a strong candidate to finish the year at AA and then look towards 2026 as a possible year for a lot of these Mariners prospects to start getting around in the big leagues. And then for my next pick, I'm going to go Luis Pena. Luis Pena is I wouldn't call him a polarizing prospect, but I would call him a very hyped prospect in some circles. I know I talked to Ross Jensen recently. I believe it was on last episode about Luis Pena. He had him ranked as his number 10 prospect in all of baseball, which is probably a bit aggressive for Luis Pena. I'm not sold that the power is anything more than average, but he's trying to prove me wrong right now. He's up to 3 home runs already this year in just 25 games, which is honestly more than I expected from him, making the jump from the DSL to single A. All of his ratios are really, really good. He doesn't strike out, but he still walks. It's a fun profile for a player. He's still just 18 years old. I think that there's definitely a future superstar in Pena. I don't know if I prefer him to his teammate Jesus Mate, but he's certainly exciting, and I would anticipate him being probably one of the biggest risers from off of our top 100 into the top 50, somewhere in there, maybe top 30. We'll see, but I definitely think he will find his way onto our leaderboard for a long time to come. And with that being said, Rhys, we are back to you for your non-top 100 prospect. Do you expect to make a jump into our top 100?
Oh, I have a lot of really good options on the board. If I knew where Will would go, I'd take... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to take someone that Will would want. There's a lot of really good prospects. I'm going to go Angel Feliz. Angel Feliz is someone who I wrote his report in the offseason for the Nationals. I think we were probably one of the more aggressive ranking on him because I don't know if people know this. You can watch a lot of these DSL games on YouTube. Shout out to the DSL Phillies and who are the other really good ones? The Giants are really good about showing their. It's more meant for like the players' families, but I found a way to watch it on YouTube. So I watched a lot of Angel Feliz, and Angel Feliz, he's really lighting it up in the domestic complex. Let me pull up his stats real quick. We're talking about a really good defensive shortstop. I thought that he was probably a 50, maybe develops. And I do not want, sometimes I don't like that Fangraphs, like if you put in a player's name, it brings up, like it's a prospect, it'll bring up the first major league player with a very similar name. I did not need the middle reliever for someone. But anyways, we're talking about a guy who is currently hitting 333, 386, 487 as an 18-year-old in the domestic complex. There's no like over the fence power yet, but it's still, he's hitting the ball hard by all accounts, showing a good approach. I think that this is a guy who has all the sort of benchmarks that I want. High bonus guy, so obviously he was very highly regarded. He's 6'3", 185-pound shortstop, so there's a lot of room for filling out, and there's some power there as well. And it's a present field for playing shortstop, and there's really good athlete. I think that he has a chance to be. I don't think he's going to be a 5-tool player because I think that term sort of gets thrown around too much. There's very few 5-tool players in minor league baseball. Johnny Formello is going to be one of them, especially when he starts to unlock and hit for more power. That dude's going to be pretty bonkers. But Angel Feliz is kind of the guy. He's going to be. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised that we don't start hearing more buzz about him making his way up to single A, and then we can really see, because if he was in this draft, he'd be the number 1 overall pick pretty comfortably. Like the tools that he has at his age is pretty tantalizing.
I think that's a really good sleeper pick, especially for some dynasty owners out there who might not have the youngins on their squad quite yet. But Will Thompson, you can finish us out with our little 6-pick draft here. Who is your pick to join our top 100 at the midseason mark?
So I am a huge fan of Carlos LaGrange in the Yankees system. I mean, I think people knew that, hey, he's a big guy, 6'7", 240-pound right-hander, and he just couldn't throw strikes. Leading into this year, just the stuff was amazing. Fastball into the upper 90s, gets a ton of whiffs. Especially, slider's pretty good as well. Changeup, but the strike throwing was just. Saying it's inconsistent would be putting it lightly. But he has totally fixed that in 1 year. And he has gone from a guy who was walking near like almost a guy an inning to walking just 2 batters per 9. K per 9 is up over 14. His overall whiff rate is 37%. Fastball getting 39% whiffs. Sliders getting 33% whiffs. Changeup 35% whiffs. And not to mention, he's a guy that the Yankees. It was a total bargain signing for the Yankees in international free agency. He got 10K, the minimum as well. So he's a guy that I think is going to rise up a ton in rankings come midseason. He's exciting, and he went from a guy who had no chance to start to a guy who has a decent chance to start at this point too. If he can really hone in and develop on that third pitch, which he has time to do, but he's a tantalizing guy with his frame and how big and strong he is. And the stuff is going to play, and the fact that he's gone from a guy with 20 command to a guy who's walking just two batters per 9 in high A this year. That's a really exciting prospect, and one that Yankee fans should be really excited about. He's the real deal.
It takes these longer limb pitchers, once you get above, like, what do they say, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", which is what he is. It takes them a little bit longer to get all the bright moving pieces moving in the right direction is what I'm trying to say. And it seems like the Yankees have managed to get that done with. I mean, for a while, the Rays were the only team that were able to get, they got Tyler Glasnow to start throwing strikes, which seemed like almost impossible when his time. People will forget that he was once a Pirates pitching prospect and just in general. So, it takes these longer limb guys a little bit longer, and it seems like the Yankees have kind of cracked the code on LaGrange.
Yeah, I think Rhys, you had this take that he might be the second best prospect in the system, and come mid-season, I think that is a spot on take, and you shall get your flowers, my friend. But so there's our little 6-pick draft. I think we might turn this into a little social media graphic and just put it out there just in case one of us is spot on, and then we can gloat in a couple months here. But we're going to be right back. You're going to listen to some more drop teams, and then we'll be back with what's going on at Prospects Live, followed by the greatest segment in podcasting, period, What's on Your Mind.
I used to be brash, I used to be bold, lived off rhythm and road, I burned every bridge.
All right, and then shout out to our music. We're going to do what's going on over at Prospects Live. There is a lot going on. Shout out to our new website. Our new website has really reinvigorated me and everybody else. We got a ton of amazing content, and I have two of the best content creators on our website. Honestly, Will Thompson and Nate. They're the two people who go to games these days, and they're both killing it on that front. We're going to start off with an Arizona Diamondbacks draft preview by Max Ellingson. Max, we're going to have to get you on the podcast at some point, my man. He's always hiking, and he's in the middle of Montana, I believe. We have a P Live Plus update. This is just one of our biggest tools that we have. Jordan Rosenblum does a great job with it. We have Matt Smata, actually is his online name. We have the College Daily Sheet. We are gearing up for conference playoffs. We actually just had a big long message. I will be back covering the Big 12, which is the conference of JUCO transfers and 25-year-olds. We have the MiLB and MLB Daily Sheet, which you have us three, and honestly, Will has been fantastic covering the Major League segment. He's been doing a great job. Nate, you've been doing okay, I guess. And then you have me bouncing around between all the different levels. We have Doc's Sunday Smoke series. That has been fantastic. The Dynasty pickup guys, Taylor and Kyle, have been doing fantastic. Brandon Hacker just recently put out his 9 potential complex risers, and he'll be going out to a St. Paul game here soon. We have the Dynasty closer hierarchy. Too much Nate for me to deal with at this point. Update number 1, Luis May and Randy Rodriguez. I'll throw it to you here in a second, but once I get done with all this stuff. 3 Up, 3 Down by Tom Gates, and we have the top 600 fantasy prospects. Honestly, ranking 600 prospects, I'm so glad that I only have to deal with the top 100. Nate, how is the Dynasty closer hierarchy going for you?
First of all, I love being on the pro side because we don't have to rank 600 guys. We have to rank 100, which is great after seeing how Drew's been the last week or two. Luis May and Randy Rodriguez are the 2 names that you need to know in reliever world right now, in my opinion. I called my shot on Zach Agnos, and I'm calling my shot again with these 2. Luis May looks primed to be the next closer in Cincinnati. And Randy Rodriguez, man, the stats are too good not to get a shot at some point. I don't trust Ryan Walker and Camilo Doval to really hold down that 8th and 9th inning role for too much longer. I think Randy Rodriguez has the stuff and the performance of a closer. So I would look to pick up both of those guys in all of your fantasy leagues right now. And we will just go straight from there into our next segment, which is What's on Your Mind. Will, welcome to What's on Your Mind, and you can say anything you want now, and we're just talking.
Anything
you want.
All right.
No swear words.
No swear words, of course. So while I will not be using any swear words, I know that there is a group of people out there that have been using swear words quite a bit for the last 24 hours, and that is the Toronto Maple Leafs fans. And that is because they somehow, and I'm no Maple Leafs fan, I'm a New Jersey Devils fan, and unfortunately got that bounced in the first round, but we'll be healthy and back next year. But the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was the year. I thought it truly was. They went up 2-0 against the Florida Panthers. I thought this was going to be the year. Panthers win game 3 and 4 in Sunrise. Okay, like it's gonna be tough. And then the Maple Leafs go lay an absolute egg in game 5, and then I think they're done. They go win a great game in game 6 in Sunrise. Come back to Toronto for game 7 and lay one of the biggest eggs I have ever seen in a game 7. Mitch Marner in his potential final game as a Toronto Maple Leaf contributed nothing on the ice, but contributed a lot by just screaming at his teammates when they were already down 3 goals in a game 7. So when he's yelling, pick it up, with other words attached to it, I'm sure he probably should have been, thinking about himself with that too. So Maple Leafs fans are very upset right now. I literally, I thought this was the year. Never again. Never ever. They're gonna have to prove it to me before I ever pick them to go to the Stanley Cup final ever again. So Toronto Maple Leafs fans, or the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're on the hot seat. Losing 7 consecutive game sevens, unfathomable. I don't know how that's. I don't even know how it's possible. So I feel bad for the fans, but they got some work to do, and Mitch Marner is gone.
I am not a hockey guy, Rhys. I've been to a couple Kraken games. I'm a crackhead, as they say. But other than that, I watched the USA versus Canada game, and that's about it. So you're going to have to respond to this one.
I am a big hockey guy. I grew up a big Red Wings fan. I love them. They've made me love them less as of recently because they just decide to not make the postseason. And, I grew up first 20-something years of my life, they were in the postseason. The Maple Leafs, who performs worse when the lights are brightest, the Maple Leafs or James Harden, is the question that we should all be asking ourselves.
Whoa.
Because they're generationally not great in do or die games, right? Like it's getting to the point where I don't believe in curses or anything like that. I mean, have you been picking the Maple Leafs to win for a while? Because let me tell you, I don't know if you guys know this. I have picked the Twins to win the World Series for like 5 straight years, up until this year. This was the first year I've absolved myself of it. I feel like a new man. I've gone to therapy. I've talked to medical professionals. I've released myself of that, and I don't recognize what happened, what led me to those points. I don't know if that's what you are going through right now with the Maple Leafs, but it is great when you can just leave a team and you don't have to worry about it anymore. And honestly, I don't want Toronto to ever win because I would like the Stanley Cup to stay in the United States. Go USA. And I mean, Austin Matthews is fantastic, but he needs some more help. He needs someone who isn't Mitch Marner to be his running mate at this point. I don't want to get too much. We're not a hockey podcast, but I love hockey. I think it's the most interesting sport there is because it hasn't been gamified. The front offices are still very in the Stone Age. You still have teams making trades for players that fight people and grit and everything like that. And there's not as much analytics, although the best team in the league, Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes, are 2 of the more analytically advanced teams as far as that goes. And then you have the Maple Leafs, who spent one offseason saying we got to get more grit. So they gave terrible contracts. What they do, I'm trying to think. Is there an MLB equivalent of a team that just consistently hands out bad contracts? Oh, I mean the Rockies. The Rockies hand out bad contracts.
Angels.
The Angels hand out bad contracts, but the Maple Leafs give their fans like some sort of hope. And they just constantly don't ever get it done. I would love to see Austin Matthews play for any other team, honestly. Well, maybe not the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks, I think I don't really care for them at all. Marner probably going to go play with the Blackhawks and not amount to anything with Connor Bedard. But I just think that's my hockey thoughts. I don't know. As you said, you're not a big hockey guy, Nate. We got to get you into that.
I love watching
You're missing
it.
out.
I love watching it. I'm such a sports guy that I don't have room in my brain for more sports, if that makes sense. It's all baseball and football for me. And I've tried doing basketball before, but then baseball suffered. And I have the bandwidth to be a nerd on 2 sports and just wait until fantasy football drafts come around, Rhys, because I'm going to start doing fantasy football thoughts as if I'm a pro. And that's coming at some point, and there's nothing you can do. So, Will, for my What's on Your Mind, I want to start with a little bit of NBA talk. So you're a Celtics fan, and the Celtics just lost the Knicks. I am a neutral source in basketball ever since my beautiful Seattle Supersonics got taken away when I was 2 years old. And I love the NBA, and I thought the Celtics were going to win it all this year. I thought it was the Celtics or Thunder for sure. And then the Knicks made all these fancy moves or whatnot, and then Jason Tatum gets hurt, and then it's like this reality. I think the Knicks went up 2-0, and I was like, this isn't happening. But I want to know, depressed Celtics fan Will, how are you doing after that, and what's on your mind in regards to the Celtics?
Well, I would be significantly worse if the Celtics didn't win the title last year. I'll just say that. So I can at least go to bed at night knowing that they won the championship last year. That being said, it was extremely disappointing. It's extremely disappointing to lose to the Knicks. It's extremely disappointing to lose to the Knicks when I'm in Houston now, but I'm originally from New Jersey. I got a 5-person family, 4 Knicks fans, 1 Celtic fan, me. So, everyone's been nice. Everyone's been nice. Not a ton of crazy trash talk, but it it certainly hurts to, Jaylen Brown said that, losing to the Knicks is like death, and honestly, it kind of is. As far as the actual series, and certainly get well, Jason Tatum. Need you back full force whenever you're 100% to get healthy. But I think that the Tatum injury doesn't absolve do I think the Celtics are the much better team? I do. Do I think that they played better overall in the series? I do. But unfortunately, you have a 20-point lead, a 20+ point lead on your home court in games 1 and 2, and you blow it and you lose. And I don't want to hear the whole I can't stand Reggie Miller on color, and the amount of times that he's saying that the Celtics should stop shooting threes because they were missing a bunch in games 1 and 2, and he thought the solution was to just drive into a wall of bodies in the paint. Like, no, take your open threes. That's who you are. And so I had no problem with that, but it just became a mental thing in game 1 and 2. And unfortunately you don't you could blame the injury. You can say they could have come back from down 3-1 if Tatum was healthy. It doesn't matter. When you blow a 20-point lead on your home court in games 1 and 2, that's your own fault. You got nobody to blame but yourself. So I'm okay. I'm okay. I've gotten over it. And go Pacers.
Go the championship Pacers. Last year is a good point, is a good angle. As someone who hasn't won a city professional sports team championship since the Seahawks in 2013, I am doing much worse than you are, I suppose. But circling, I suppose, right back into, I'm throwing around suppose like I'm smart. I need to go back to my 5th grade vocabulary here. What's on my mind is calendar apps. I am using this as a help tool. I need to know what calendar apps people use and what is the best, because I've gone through a bunch of them in the last. I'm a huge calendar guy. I like having all my stuff organized. It tells me what I'm doing on the daily sheet that day. But I'm using just some crazy calendar app. I don't even know what it's called, but it's all one color and it's all mixed up, and you only get like 5 characters before Google you can see. No, it's called Time Tree, I think. And you only get like 5 characters to describe what like it is that is on your calendar. So I'm like writing like, I write a word like practice for like the team I coach, and it doesn't even fit. It's just pract. And I'm starting to dislike that when I have to put things, and that's just a little nitpick, but there's got to be a better calendar app out there, and I need someone in the comments to help a brother out here. Rhys, are you a calendar guy?
I'm a calendar guy. Plus, I don't know if people know this, I'm a big journal guy. Like I'm a bullet journal guy. I'd recommend the book, The Bullet Journal Method, to anybody who is looking to get into journaling. I use the one that just was loaded onto my iPhone. I don't mess around. I didn't download a third-party app or anything like that. Here, I'll show you guys my calendar. I don't have anything.
Take a screenshot here, guys.
No. It's just me dog sitting. I mean, it's color coded. It's my parents. Somehow I got my parents on there. I know my dad gets paid, which is pretty cool, I guess. Not that impacts me or anything. I just use the one that's loaded onto my phone. For the most part, the only product that I venture away from in the Apple ecosystem is I use Spotify. I'm not an Apple Music guy.
Yeah, me too.
I can't. It's a good product when Apple people only go away to go use a different product.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be weird if you're using like a third-party calculator or something. That would be a little.
Yeah.
I think though, as far as calendars, Nate, I just gotta say, I fully agree with you. Number one, and I got so frustrated. I am a big calendar guy, quote unquote, like writing out like a schedule more in advance, like a schedule in advance. I already have the Rutgers football calendar like put in my schedule already. However, I gave up because I ran into the same problems that you did for calendars, that I just could not find one that worked. Therefore, I just list them on a notes app.
I also do that. I'm the worst notes app guy that you know.
I might be worse. I'm telling you, I am all just right on the notes app. Everyone makes fun of me. I don't care. It works for me, and I don't want to deal with all the colors and the like character limits. I just want to write out what I want to write out, say where I need to be when, and if I really need to set an alarm for something, I can set an alarm for something, and I won't miss it.
Do you know what else is a great calendar app? ChatGPT. ChatGPT, you can just tell it and it does it.
Ooh.
It's fantastic. I use it to schedule my days. It's like having your own personal assistant. Is it great for the environment? Probably not, but like, whatever, right? I'm just gonna go burn down trees after this. No, but no, I just I like to say I'm waking up at this time. I want to work out at this time. I like to have my day regimented, and that's why I have ChatGPT do it, and then I write it down onto my notebook, and then if I really feel like I do, I just use the calendar app on my iPhone.
You see, my mind is just going 100 miles an hour at all times. So my notes app is for things I need to do that don't have a specific date. So I break it up into, as you can see here, I just scroll and scroll.
Oh,
These
you're
are all
on dark
to-dos.
mode. That's so
No,
gross.
I'm a light mode. All right,
Well,
guy.
that's this is the end of the podcast.
I have these young eyes, and I break up my to-dos into ASAP, to-do, and then future to-do. And I've got about 30 things in all of those. So fair to say this summer I'm going to be knocking some things off my to-do list. But my biggest hater, Rhys, what's on your mind?
I wanted to know what TikTok was. Calendar apps.
Oh yeah,
and TikTok.
yeah. Do you want me to? I was trying to like just I don't know move along, I suppose. So I get like a one good TikTok idea a month, and I'm not a huge TikTok poster whatsoever, but I posted a bunch of Bushnell baseball videos on there this year because I did all the social media or whatnot for Bushnell. I'm a bit of a videographer, as you might say, and so I posted TikTok the other day because I saw a funny one on my For You page or whatever. And it was about baseball or whatever, and it was like a little kid version of you, and it was like, hey, did we make it to the MLB? And then the second slide was like, no, you were on JV in high school. So I did that, but I said, no, you topped out at 82 miles an hour in your college career. And it has 100,000 views, and I'm getting it sent to me by family members and people I haven't talked to in years and all this shit. And this isn't the first time this has happened. I've had a couple TikToks blow up, and it's the most nerve-wracking feeling ever, and it makes me want to like throw my phone and get a flip phone because I don't like necessarily being seen online, which is a little weird because now I have a podcast, I suppose. But it was just a weird situation, and there wasn't really a thought behind it. But I don't like that people can just see me on their TikTok.
I also think that we should go back to flip phones. I'm a big fan of them. So I feel like we'll get to my point in a second because mine's very vague. What is your guys' TikTok algorithm? I've never watched an episode of Young Sheldon in my life, but I have watched dozens upon dozens of clips of Young Sheldon on TikTok.
Yes, mine is so similar. Mine is like The Rookie on Hulu. I just started watching it on Hulu because I'd watched it all on TikTok already, and I wanted to like go rewatch it because that was all my For You page was. And then baseball nerd stuff, and then hot girls is also on my algorithm. I'm sorry, I tell the truth.
I hate to say it, but I have held out for the longest time, and I'm still not on TikTok.
Wow. You're smart. You're the smartest one of us three by far.
I have held out under pressure under intense peer pressure, and it has not worked, and I will not crack.
I think that you've made the right decision. I know everything about Young Sheldon, despite never watching a single second of it on television. I know George and Mandy. I know their whole marriage dynamic. I know everything. Again, I don't know who watches Young Sheldon on TV, but on TikTok, me. And I can't stop. Once I click on one, I'm like, well, I want to see how it goes. Like, how did
that's the problem.
how did Mandy get in trouble this week? I got to figure out what's going on. But I feel like I should get to mine because we should end this podcast here soon. Fruit, okay? I like to keep things very general here, and fruit is something I'm very passionate about. I like to eat healthy and whatnot. I want to know, what are your guys' favorite fruits, and why is pineapple the best fruit?
Oh. Will, go ahead.
Or we can do a fruit draft if you guys want. We can do a fruit draft. We can do whatever you guys want to do. I just put fruit, and it was originally going to be Burger King, and I was going to say Burger King. I saw this tweet recently, and it was Burger King. It was cheaper to get 16 nuggets than 8 nuggets, and Burger King just wants you to take their food. They're just willing to give you away food. It was like $2.99 for 16 nuggets, $3.99 for 8. I was like, how can you beat that deal?
I think we should do a fruit draft so we can have 3 drafts in this episode. I think that's something that no one else is doing. So, Rhys, I think you have a 1-1, so I want to see you go
got
first.
1-1.
Pineapple. Easy.
Okay.
The only S tier fruit.
Watermelon.
Ooh,
I like that.
I'm going to go raspberry, and then I'm going to go strawberry. I'm going to double berry. Will, back to you.
I'm gonna go. So I love this fruit. I love cantaloupe.
Oh,
You're weird.
gross.
I don't
That's
like this
so
at all.
gross.
Watermelon and
Are
cantaloupe?
you kidding me?
You just like water?
Cantaloupe is outstanding.
We found his flaw, Rhys.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
The dude's 6'6", but he likes cantaloupe. So you have to balance him out somewhere.
Yeah, he's a 10, but
Yeah.
he likes cantaloupe.
5.
All right.
Rhys, you got a pick here.
Okay, I'm going to go with pear. Pear is a fantastic fruit. It's better than the apple counterpart. And then, what do I want to go with my last fruit? Do I want to like mango? Mango's a great fruit. Like mango is just fantastic. Mango flavored anything is great.
Will?
Oh, we're doing a third round. Oh, okay.
He's going to go with honeydew melon, isn't he? He's going to finish off the melon trifecta and throw out the two trash fruits that they just throw in fruit salad.
Oh man, I gotta think of another fruit. I said what? Because strawberries are already gone.
You lost this draft already. I'm just letting you know that.
I'm the draft loser. Like this is where like I don't know, like Pete Prisco and like the CBS NFL drafts like already given me an F that saying like I reached for cantaloupe in the second round.
Seventh, that was undrafted.
Cantaloupe would have been available in the 5th round.
Like Shedeur Sanders.
Like Shedeur Sanders, apparently. All right, I'll do. I don't know. Pineapples and mangoes are so good, and they're already gone. This is so hard.
So many more fruits, Will.
Can I pass?
There's a lot.
So many fruits. They're all good.
Pass like the Rule 5 draft?
Yeah, you can pass. I'm going to finish this draft out with grapes. Apples are going undrafted. Apples are good.
Yeah, you
They're
can
not
keep
as good as
grapes.
Grapes are. Grapes are good in a certain situation, and they have those cotton candy flavored grapes, which
Are
freaking
great.
bang. They're expensive, but they're good.
They're very good. Apples are well, not gross. Red Delicious are gross. They look beautiful. They are disgusting. I'm a Granny Smith guy if I'm going to have an apple.
Yeah, I'm a Pink Lady guy for apples.
Ooh, pink ladies are good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, apples overrated. Pineapple underrated. Melons, I don't even know.
I don't know, man.
I can't believe you guys don't like. I can't believe you guys are so anti-cantaloupe.
You know,
I'm
Will was really even keel throughout this entire thing. I didn't realize that
Off
us
the
not
rails.
liking. I didn't realize that us not liking melons was going to be the thing that got. Because I imagine Will's just a very calm, relaxed guy. You know, easygoing, and then all of a sudden, melon just got him off the rails.
Yeah, there's a few things that'll just really get me going, and that's when I won't take the cantaloupe or the melon hate.
On Deck, the podcast that broke Will Thompson, episode 3. This has been so much fun, guys. We're going to have to do this again, Will. You are now a recurring guest in my eyes. And we talked so many prospects, and then we talked fruit and everything else in between. I'm definitely going to post the fruit clip on TikTok, and that'll probably be the next viral video for Prospects Live.
Well, great, because I won't see it.
But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, all of our links are in the description below. You can find me, Rhys, Drew, Will, anyone down below in the description. And thank you for being here. And we will be back on Thursday night / Friday morning for episode 4 of On Deck with another new guest. Thank you guys for being here. Rhys, any final words?
Melons are trash. And yeah, that's about it.
Will?
Maybe the Red Sox will win a series against the Mets. I don't know.
This guy just loves
Maybe.
baseball and cantaloupe.
Yeah,
all right, everyone.
I know.
We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Here she comes, walking in walls, talking in tongues. Got the boys in line. Yes, I'm drunk, but the pill in my pocket's gonna sober me up.